celebrating 17 years of possibility. Pilot Flying J and Halloran Hilton Hill present Anything is Possible. Today's guest, Maria Loggins, Part 1.
This is Anything is Possible. Great stories about great people whose lives prove that anything is possible. And one message this season for sure, if there's something you're supposed to do with your life, don't wait, do it. This is Maria Antoinette Loggins. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you for having me.
Lifestyle expert.
Yes.
First of all, your website, your blog, your stuff is fantastic.
Thank you.
It is really well done, really well rendered. I need to ask you kind of a lifestyle and, a fashion question.
Okay.
Okay. And then we'll get to your story.
No problem.
Number one, I am considering shaving my head bald because I look like a church deacon with this semicircle going now.
Right.
Should I do that? For a guy my age, should I lose the hair because I'm losing the hair?
I am going to tell you this. If you take the hair away, you're going to gain 10 years. Bald is in. It's super elegant. It is. Turn to the side. Let's get a profile. You have a nice head shape, so you don't have to be concerned about your head looking weird. It's going to bring youth forward. Because right now, like you said, you look like the deacon, right? But if you take it away, it's going to be totally fine. I'm a fan of the bald head. My husband has a bald head. And if you do a poll, women love bald heads.
All right, so that's
right.
funny.
Yeah.
We did acknowledge the deacon in the room. All right, that's good. Style-wise,
I say keep your style, lose the hair, maybe even explore around with maybe some facial hair, see what you can do there. That brings edge to you. I love the thick frames that you're wearing, the dark, thick frames. They bring out your eyebrows. Eyebrows shape the face, so your frames are definitely complementing your face shape. Nice clean manicure, nice watch, simple jewelry. I think you look great. I don't think it needs to be anything else.
All right. I gotta get up the courage for the bald head. Thank you for being here today, by the way.
Of course.
Where are you from originally?
I am originally from the suburbs of St. Louis, Missouri. So Baldwin, Missouri. It's about 45 minutes from downtown St. Louis.
What was it like growing up there?
I grew up in a predominantly white environment. So for me, it was you know what you're brought up in is all you know. So at that time, it was just how my life was. I was accepted. I didn't have any issues with racism or anything like that until I got older, which was really odd for me because I grew up around all white people.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have siblings?
I don't. I'm an only child.
So you grow up, in kind of a white world, and so you didn't feel anything.
I never felt anything concerning my color. I think when I would go back into visit my grandparents or anything into the inner city, I would have a disconnect. So I would notice it then because I would be disconnected to what the people who look like me thought of me.
And what did they think of you?
That I was a county brownie, I spoke white, I was a sellout, and I probably didn't help that cause much because I was proud of the life that I had and the life that I was afforded, and I probably did not make them feel very good about their lives. So they had mean things to say about me, and I definitely had mean things to say back.
You brought it back.
Yeah,
right?
I mean.
As we say, clapped back.
That's right. But it definitely was always tension there between myself and the people who look like me. Not anymore, but.
Right. So the perception was you were bad and bougie.
That was the perception. If that song had been out back then, that probably would have been my anthem. Yes, that was the perception. And I think that I carried that as a badge of honor because really I was hiding so much hurt.
Mm.
Yeah. So I think that it was comfortable for me to have something that people had admired, that some people thought this way of me. So I think I fell into that pigeonhole of, okay, well, at least I have this going for me when everything else that no one could see was falling apart and crumbling.
Wow. This is going to be a great story.
It is.
Let's get a break. You're watching Anything is Possible. I will still have hair when we come back, but maybe not next year. More in a moment.
Possibility powered by Pilot Flying J, Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel. Coming up,
I didn't look at it as a great career path. I didn't see it as something that was honorable. But this is my gift. The world needs people like myself. This is my gift, but I didn't know that then.
I just got a new style coach, stylist. You just put me together today.
You're already together. We're just going to make a couple of tweaks, and you're going to be
I'm going to be
100.
okay. Maria Antoinette Loggins is with us today. So you grew up outside of St. Louis. Mm-hmm. You go to school. Tell me about your educational journey.
Okay. So growing up in the county, there were other Black families out there. We just were very sparse. And you have your community. So like I went to the all-Black church in the community in the county, where a lot of like your higher like educated executives, we all lived out there, so we all went to this church. So you had athletes and different things that attended this church. So it was a well-to-do Black church, and so you kind of get caught up in that where it's just like all of my friends are going to college. I'm going to go to college too. That's just kind of like the path that you take. My mom wasn't really involved in like the church or anything like that. She was a single parent. So all she did was work. You know, she worked, and by God's grace, I was taken in by my community and my environment, which kept me. I'm going to be very honest. It kept me, and it kept me grounded, and it kept me safe. So in attending church and being around all my peers who had both of their parents, you know, that pushed them and had goals and expectations for them, it kind of fell, you know, the trickle effect. I was just proxy, just being there. I went to college.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to Missouri State University, my apologies. And then I did that for 1 year. I cheered in college, collegiately. And then I finished at University of Missouri, St. Louis. Okay. So I got accepted to Mizzou, which is in Columbus. But I didn't go. All of my friends were going there, and I knew I needed somewhat of a break to find out my own self and my own identity. I always felt like I was a Lehman, like just following what everyone else was doing. And yes, I went to college because everyone else went to college, but I knew I needed to find some sort of separation to figure out who I am. So I didn't take the scholarship. Big mistake. I should have taken the scholarship, but I did get a scholarship to State of Missouri, so Missouri State. And I did get a scholarship there as well, but it wasn't a full ride, but it worked out.
But you end up in cosmetology.
Right.
Like you can braid some hair.
I can do a lot with some hair. That was my natural gift. I just picked it up. I started doing hair probably around 17. Now, I did my own hair starting around 9. Like I said, my mom's a single parent, so she worked all the time. I typically wore a lot of braid styles because it was low maintenance and she wouldn't have to worry about how my head looked, but my hair would still look presentable. One time she went to work and she had already bought all the extensions for me to get my hair braided, but there was a backup. Like I couldn't get in. By the time she came home from work one day,
You had done it yourself.
I had done it myself.
Wow.
And I think I was 9 at that age.
That's massive.
Yeah. Nothing but time, right?
So you're 9 years old and there's a backup and you put the extensions in and braid your hair yourself. So this is a natural thing.
I mean, it took me a while. It took me a full day to do it, whereas if I would have gone to the salon, it would have taken like a couple of hours. But I was determined and I did it myself. My grandmother taught me how to braid. My mother was adamant about me learning as much as I possibly could. So she had me in sewing classes. Now, this is where it all starts. My mom wore sew-in extensions, so like a weave is what they're referenced. And she got into it with her stylist, and one day she was like, "Come do my sew-in." And I was like, "Excuse me?" She was like, "You know how to braid and you know how to sew. I'm going to walk you through it." And ever since then, I kind of just did hair. Now, my confidence wasn't sky high. My self-worth was definitely not there. So I always had the dream of wanting to go to cosmetology school. But once again, my environment, the people that I was around, I didn't respect cosmetologists.
Right.
I didn't look at it as a great career path. I didn't see it as something that was honorable. I saw it as like, a skill. And
that's what you do when you can't do anything.
Right.
You're going to church with doctors and lawyers
right.
and bankers and corporate executives
right.
and athletes and entertainers.
But this is my gift. right? This is my gift. And there's people, the world needs people like myself. This is my gift, but I didn't know that then, right? I didn't have the confidence to be like, I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to do what, and it's not even going against the grain. I'm going to do what God put me on this earth to do.
When did you decide to just go for it?
30.
Wow.
I finished undergrad. I did a little bit of graduate school. I worked corporate, and I got laid off. And this whole time, I am doing hair. And I'm telling the people that if I did hair, don't tell anybody I did your hair. Because I didn't want people to start coming to me to get their hair done. So I was just like, it was only a handful of women. I would do their hair, and that was it. You know, it was like, okay, do you want to get your hair done? That's great. It was great extra money, especially in college. That was a great hustle, right? I can do hair. It was great. I'm going to get this degree. I'm going to go work in corporate America, and I'm going to wear this suit, and everybody's going to be like, she made it. That's what
Olivia
I'm thinking.
Pope.
Right. You know, I didn't quite make it to Olivia Pope status, but, you know, I did look clean. I was very, very sharp. So I got laid off, and I went ahead and applied to cosmetology school at the ripe age of 30. I was in school with children, 17.
Right.
So I was like Mama Maria or Auntie Maria. But I took it very serious. I did it full time for 9 months, and I was out of there. I think I maybe missed 4 days in a whole 9 months. Every challenge they put in front of us, I exceeded it. I went above and beyond every award option. I received it. I stayed booked on the floor, and I went straight from cosmetology school into booth rent, which is something that most people starting off in cosmetology school, they don't do that.
You go somewhere and wash hair for 2 years, right, and then maybe.
Yeah. So I went straight into booth rent. I only worked in one salon my whole career, and that was for about 2 years. I got engaged. We got married. 6 months later, we moved to Knoxville, Tennessee. And I didn't want to do hair here. I wanted to start a family, have a baby, and it took about a year. You know, I worked really hard. When I did decide to do hair, I went all out. I was creative director of a local magazine. Anything that I can get my hands on to show my abilities, I did it. And I was just tired. You know, I came here, and my husband was like, if I move us, I'll be able to subsidize your income. So if you don't want to work, that's fine. He's like, I'll give you a year to just kind of figure out what you want to do, what really makes you happy. And I'm so grateful for him because he started the space of safe. You know, I wasn't in hustle mode. I wasn't in survival mode. I didn't have to fend for myself anymore. I could actually just relax. But in relaxing comes mind. Your
contemplation.
Mind. Well, not even contemplation, but your mind can idle hands. You know, they say you don't want idle hands because your mind gets busy. And my busy wasn't always good. So like stuff started surfacing from my childhood and stuff just started, you know, I would jump into another project to kind of avoid my mind from thinking and really going over all the stuff that I had been through as a child. So now I'm like just finding myself busy, and that's how I started the blog.
So the blog, I mean, your blog is beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm trying to find my way into the digital world. We'll put a link here as well. But your stuff it's really nice. It's really well done. But that's just part of the story. So you decided to go digital, right? Were you a person that was heavy and active on social media?
Yes, because as a stylist, Instagram came out right when I was going into the salon. So it was a pivotal point for me. I was able to build clientele from it through hashtags and different things like that. So I already was getting notoriety. I was listed Essence one of Essence top 100 naturalistas to follow. So like it was a digital article, and I was one of the 100. So like this is before I even started blogging. This is just me just sharing my life on Instagram and then sharing like pictures of before and afters of my clients or things like that. When we moved is when I started the blogging, and I started blogging as just merely a journal and a way for our families to see what we were doing here in Knoxville and not have to call us all the time. You guys can just see, look, we went to the mountains. This is what I've been wearing. But you know, once it's out there, anybody can see it. So it wasn't just my family and friends. A whole plethora of just people just started following and watching and having questions. And I moved from my blog to YouTube.
And then boom, everything changes. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll pick up at YouTube. You're watching Anything is Possible, because it is.
Coming up.
My channel kind of was just all over the place. And my husband was like, if you really want to grow, you're going to have to just stick to one thing. And I was like, no, I'm going to share everything.
So you moved to YouTube.
I moved to YouTube and I was terrified. The thought of internet trolls,
Right.
like literally take me out. The whole thought of it. But I will go ahead and put this out there. If you are thinking about doing anything on the internet, what you give out is what you're going to get in return. And because I am who I am and everything that I do is to give and to educate and to share what has worked for me, I have had little to no issues with trolling. So I started YouTube. My first video was how to make a gluten-free pizza. Had nothing to do, I mean, it's lifestyle, but it had nothing to do with beauty and hair, which is what people were asking me to do. But once again, I'm in my own way. And I was like, I went to school, I paid this money to learn hair stuff, and I'm just going to get on YouTube and give it away for free. So I was withholding it.
Wow.
Finally, I released it. And when I released it, the floodgates opened. And that's when I realized God can't give you more when you're already full. It has to be like a water filtering system. You have to be giving out for him to give you more. I couldn't go any further or any higher in my career path until I opened up and let some out so that he can give me more.
I remember watching this video, and it was about urban farming. A guy in Southern California would go through these urban neighborhoods, and people had orange trees and lemon trees in their yards, mm-hmm. and he knew they were that. The people living there didn't know. And he goes to this one lady's house, knocks on the door, and he had been referred by a friend. He said, I would love to look at your backyard about putting a garden in. And so they go out there, and he goes up to this tree, and there's these black bulbs on the tree. And she goes, yeah, I don't know what that is. He said, that's supposed to be fruit. He said, what kind of fruit? He said, oranges. And he said, this tree is in this condition because nobody harvests the fruit, and so no new fruit can grow. And I remember watching that going, season after season, we are given fruit, mm-hmm. and apple trees bear apples, but they don't eat them. So who's the fruit for? It must not be for the tree.
It must not be.
And I can't have a new season of fruit if we don't harvest this season's fruit and give it to whoever it's supposed to go to.
That's right.
I can't have more abundant fruit if I'm not pruned.
Yes.
Right? So a pruning is really about directing the life force of the plant so that it becomes more productive.
That's correct.
And I think about passages in my life where I did not bear much fruit because I'm holding. I got to keep it all to myself,
right? Because
I have a scarcity mentality. And then when God does this surgical work of pruning, I don't like it. I perceive it as a negative, and he's really taking me through it so that I can bear more fruit. And that there has to be a flow. There has to be an ebb and a flow, and it sounds like that's exactly what you're saying.
That was one of the pivotal moments where I removed self, and I gave the people what they wanted, reluctantly, but I did it. At first, I would do stuff that wasn't taught to me in school that I just knew how to do, like extensions and braiding. That's not taught in school. So I eventually moved into chemicals and cutting techniques and color and other stuff that was taught to me and has helped so many people. My motto is to simplify life. Okay, I'm here to simplify life. And I also am a big advocate for doing it yourself. So I cut my hair, and if I can't get to the back, my husband will help me cut my hair. I think my third video on my YouTube was me changing or fixing my husband's AC in his car. Like, I really wanted to show women that we are very able and we can do it. And I have the mindset that if any other human did it, I can do it. So I would just find myself challenging myself to do these projects. And it just made way for me. I started getting invited to events and I got invited to this event in Atlanta, and I met the director of Cantu Beauty. And because I am a licensed cosmetologist, we started working together. And probably after the second time I worked with the company, they offered me a contract where I became their global stylist. So I was the lead stylist that would travel the world and educate on their products. It also helped that I had an influence. Like, I was also an influencer, which means I have a reach. I have a little under 500,000 in reach. So I was able to duel. I was able to be someone that people wanted to see, and then I was also able to speak on hair. So it just kept opening and opening. My thing that I would also do, like I said, you can hear, I did pizza, car repair. My channel kind of was just all over the place. And my husband was like, if you really want to grow, you're going to have to just stick to one thing. And I was like, no, I'm going to share everything.
Well, if you think about it, that whole mentality of possibility, really at its core, you can do whatever you decide you're going to do if you'll try. I think while people think like winners, and winners believe they can win, first of all, and winners always try, right? Just that muscle of trying. Do you mind if this is a 2-part interview with you?
Not at all.
All right, next week, because you haven't even gotten into the story. This is backstory. Now we go to the real journey of Maria Antoinette. You'll see next time on Anything is Possible.